Hi, everybody. Good morning. All right, everybody ready to get started? Let's see who's going to come on. This is our normal thing. I have my tea. Do you have your coffee or tea or Diet Coke or whatever you start your morning with? I am outside again. I love it when I can come outside again. There we go. Yeah, you can't really see. I think maybe see the mountain, but no. It's a messy tree in my backyard. I can't believe it, you guys. I thought I was going to be gone from here like 60 days ago, and we are still here, which is just so interesting. Actually, it's just really a blessing. We sold our house, and the man who bought the house has been gracious enough to let us rent it back from him because it's taken us this long to find and get another house. We've had a few issues along the way. You know, that's part of the house hunting saga. I probably could write a story. As most of y'all know, I think I've said, okay, I'm back. Okay, I guess my phone said that I lost connection there. So who's on with us this morning? Can you say a little hi and tell me where you are? Lori, hey, good morning. Nice to see you on this morning. Let's see who else is going to join us on here. Anyway, as I've told y'all before, I think Bill and I have moved 17 times, and sometimes they've been, local moves like this is. We are here in Las Vegas and just moving to a different part of town, and but we've moved, several cross country or out of city kind of moves as well. So let's see. I see. Hey, Kathy. Good morning. I hope you had a great trip with all your friends last week. We'll have to have a phone call and have a little chat, and you can tell me all about it. Elaine, good morning. Let me see. Deborah. I've got Sasha on my lap here. She's got where she just doesn't, especially, oh, you are too nice. And so since I was gone all last week, Sasha she stays with a friend of mine and just has a great time, and she's very loved. But when I come home, she doesn't like me to get too far out of her sight. So she's sitting right here. I don't know if y'all can see her because I can't really tell. Cecilia, good morning. I love it. Thank you guys for spending your morning with me. It really is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. There's just that little bit of coolness in the air today, which sometimes the desert gets. During the middle of July and August, we don't really get too much of that. But now it's starting to just get that little tiny bit of cool in the morning, which is just awesome. Makes it great. Good morning, Kim. Kim, where are you? What city? And Cecilia, where are you? Sometimes you have to forgive me if I should know where you are. I just sometimes don't remember whether I know you from Kansas City or Las Vegas or somewhere else. So let me know on that. And for those of you who don't know, we do a Fun Fearless Female lunches in Kansas City on the second week and the fourth week. Kathy leads one on the fourth Tuesday, and then Jennifer Mills does one on the fourth Thursday. So look that up on Meetup, and you'll see. Or you can go to my website, delindalane.com, and go to FFF, which means Fun Fearless Female, networking, and it'll bring that information up. It's really easy. Well, Kim, you're in Fort Worth. Yay! I love that. That is so cool. And Cecilia from Pryor, Oklahoma. I love it. We're reaching across the nation. Isn't that great? Women, and we have guys on this morning show. It's not all about girls or us gals. It's for anybody who wants to watch. So I love it that we're getting y'all coming in and tuning in across the country. So that is so cool. Well, I just have to share with y'all a couple of things. And, as I'm thinking about them this morning, it's like, I don't know how they're related. I don't know that they are. But they're just kind of a couple stories I wanted to share with you. Yesterday, excuse me. Hi, Allison. Good morning. Yesterday, I went over and saw some friends of mine. Now, I have to tell you, they are the sweetest couple. And I'm not sure. I'm trying to decide if I should say their names or not. But I'm saying all good things, so I hope they don't mind. But it's Mickey and Fred. Mickey and Fred go to my church. And I just love them. They are just so precious. And y'all, they have been married as long as I have been alive. They literally got married in 1951, which is when I was born. And so they So whatever, however old that makes me. What am I? 67, I guess. I never can remember. It doesn't really matter to me, so I don't pay attention. But and they're just so precious together. But they're getting ready to have a big major life change, and so that's why I went over to their house, and they're getting ready to so Fred is 93, and Mickey, I'm not real sure, woman's not ever supposed to tell her age, but she's right up in that range somewhere. But I am telling you that she's like my soul sister. Oh gosh, you guys, I keep losing my okay, sorry, but my network keeps saying that I'm going down. I hope I'm still there, because it is telling me I'm losing my network, so I may be fading in and out. But she puts on her makeup. She gets her hair done every week. She has her nails done. She dresses like $1,000,000, and she just keeps it together. And you know what? And she's dealing with some health challenges. She can get around. She's got a walker, but they get out and they do things, and they love to socialize. Mickey is this social butterfly. And I just love her attitude. And I just hope and pray that when I am up there somewhere close to 90, that I can keep my attitude. Because I see a lot of people as they age and get older, they get kind of negative and grouchy and very short-tempered, and she is just she's really just an inspiration to me. And Fred is the same, and he just takes such good care of her, and he is a master of just so many things. He can do so many things. And anyway, it was just such a blessing to go see them. But they're getting ready to, as I said, they're moving to a active lifestyle place. It's not assisted living or thing, but really, talk about really downsizing. And this is very hard. And just watching them kind of go through this transition. And Bill and I, because we've moved so many times, I guess sort of that's maybe where a little transition comes in here, is that we've moved so many times. And back in 2011 and 12 is when we really, might have even been 13, somewhere in there, where we really did a major downsize. But every time we've moved, we've sort of downsized and released stuff. I call it releasing, just getting rid of those things that hold you back. And they're now doing that. Now, fortunately, this is not, they haven't lived in this home, for 40 years or anything, because people who have to do that, sorry about that, that is really hard, because they have all those years to have to go through and all. But it's really difficult. So you guys just keep them in your thoughts and prayers, because it's really difficult to go through their life of being married 67 years and the things that they've kept. And they live in a beautiful big home, so they've been able to keep a lot of that stuff. So this is just kind of difficult for them. And so anyway, so I was just thinking about them. So if you have people in your life that maybe are older, going through transition, maybe they're not even older, it doesn't matter, because a lot of times we do have to go through just those changes and release times in our life. And when we can begin to look at it, that most of the time it's just stuff. A lot of it is very sentimental stuff. And I know, and as I look at moving, it's okay, what are the things I really love? Those are the things that I'm going to keep and I'm going to take with me, right? And that's what they're doing. Okay, what are the things you really love, and the things that are most special to you? What I suggested that they do is then they do have a storage place that they can either use for a while or whatever. I don't know the details of all the stuff. But I said, so take the things, separate them out. These are the things we love, and we're going to do everything we can to take them with us. And that's maybe the A group, or the number one priority group. And the second group is, man, I really like these. I'm not really ready to release those. My heart's not ready, because it's your heart, right? It's how you feel about those things and the memories that are attached to those things, right? And of course, they have 2 children, and so the kids, their adult children will take a few of the things that they want to keep in the family. But then that second area, put in the things that, like I said, you're not really ready to release yet, but you can't take them to this much smaller place that you're going, and just put them in that little storage place and give it a little bit of time, maybe 6 months, maybe even a year, and then go back through it and see if it's easier to release it at that point. Because sometimes release is and getting rid of things is a process. Like most things, most things we go through in life are a process. They're not just, you just can't make up your mind and go straight that way and, forget everything behind. And then the other stuff that's not in your number one and number two priority, then those things can be given away or sold on Craigslist or sent to a consignment shop or whatever, whatever else. And so just that's kind of just a way, if you're, and I don't know, it's kind of the end, we're at the end of the summer, the beginning of fall, and not in spring cleaning time, but very often we still go through those different times of the year where we're trying to thin things out maybe. And I made a comment, she has a couple of silk plants that they want to donate to the church, and I'm kind of the one that oversees some of that stuff. And I said that I'd come take a look, which is why I was over there yesterday. And when I saw them, it's like, oh, okay, these two will be great. This one, I'm not sure. We'll have to just take a look and see, because one was really big. And what the comment I made to several of the gals that were standing around on church Sunday morning, I said, so what we'll do is I'll take a look, and then when we bring the new one in, we're taking the old ones out, because the old ones we have at church are so awful. They are falling over. It's almost like I'm going to have to tape them to keep them together. We've been moving them around for the last 10 years. So that's another little hint for things, is that if you're going to go buy something new, then get rid of something at the same time. That way you're continually in a process of, keeping things maybe thinned out a little bit. So then the other thing that kind of happened yesterday, and I'm checking real quick to see if there's somebody else on here today that I haven't said good morning to. Good morning, everybody. If I haven't said your name individually, I'm scrolling down here to see if I can, if I've missed anybody. Good morning, Cindy and Connie. Good morning, everybody. I love that. Let me give you a little wave. Some of them say I can wave to you, and some of them don't. So I don't know who I can wave to or not. All right. So the other thing is, what is your attitude when something happens? Those things. So I was talking to what I think is a young man. I've only talked to him. I know him over the phone. I know that he's a younger couple, he and his wife, but I don't know exactly how old he is, so I'm going to guesstimate, I don't know, late 30s or 40s. I don't really know for sure, and I will not say his name, but we were chatting about some other things, some business we were taking care of, and then we got in onto some personal, just life stuff. And he's redoing a house. He bought a house in another state, and they're redoing it. And they had a close family friend that was doing some construction work for him. And so as they were starting on this project, so they've been going up out of state. I think it's Wyoming or Montana or something like that. They've been going up and starting this work. Well, they just found out over the weekend that this person, who's a good close friend, has been really taking advantage of them to a very high amount of money. Not just double pricing them, but 5 times. They found out the actual value of, if they had just ordered this certain product themselves, it would have cost X, and their friend who was doing the construction for them actually was charging them 5 times. Now, isn't that the pits? That is really the pits, right? So he really was just telling me, he's like, just like getting a kick in the gut that not only would somebody do that, but somebody that and that's a lifelong family friend. So that's like, what are you going to do with that? You get upset, of course, and then you have to stop the whole proceeding and say, okay, we've got to stop right now. This is not right. We're not going to continue to use you. You need to refund our money back. You misled us, all of those kind of things. So you have to handle it very matter of fact and take care of the business side, right? But what do you do with that heart-wrenching gut feeling of someone that or you thought you knew and trust and depended on, and really thought that he could do it long distance because it was somebody that that he had known all his life, and the families are all close friends. And so we just chatted about things, and he says, yeah, and it's really awful because it looks like we're going to have to get attorneys involved and all that stuff. And I know that some of you guys out there have had maybe not that exact same thing, but but we all deal with different levels of stuff that just happens to us. So what are we going to do with that? And just trying to talk it out and think about it and give yourself time to kind of process it. It really helps if you can step back inside yourself. Just step back a little bit and look at it, and as you're looking at it from that logical, if it's a business situation, which if you're doing a house or renovation or something like that, it does come into some business as well as the oftentimes the personal, as in his case. But being able to just pull back a little bit and get an overview of it, pull your mental, logical mind out and say, okay, now, what does this mean? What are my next steps? So he knew immediately that he was going to have to hire another contractor. Was going to have to reach out to the suppliers that they had ordered products from and say, don't release those products to this person. We're going to have a different, we're hiring somebody else. So you look at it and say, what are the logical steps that you need to do? And in any situation, y'all, that works, whether you're dealing with, I don't know, a loss of a job. You first have that initial, kick in the gut thing, like, oh my gosh, and what am I going to do? And all of that. And so once you kind of get past that initial thing, like, oh my gosh, then that being able to step back a little bit and just look at things logically. And I always I use paper and pencil for a lot. Y'all know that. So just writing it down. Okay, so if you can separate yourself, kind of compartmentalize a little bit, but separate yourself, say, so what do I need to do? So let's say it is the loss of a job. Okay, so what is your bottom line for that? You're going to obviously need to find a job. Do you need to, on one side, do you need to update your resume? Start looking and finding what are some resources of the kind of job that you want. Look at it. Is this a time that maybe has opened up for you to go do the thing you've always wanted to do? Maybe it isn't just go find a job doing the same thing because maybe you were unhappy at that job. So when you can take your life and begin to look at it in different little segments, sometimes that really helps. So y'all kind of following what I'm saying here? I don't see any comments from anybody. You guys can make little comments if you want. I love watching to see what y'all say. So it's like, okay, so then you look, okay, so if you lost your job, so what does that mean? Well, what is your bottom line? You're going to need to look at your finances. What is the bottom line of what you need? Make a list. Okay, these are the expenses that, house payment, insurance, car, those vital things that you have to get covered, right? Some of the other stuff is not so important, and it might have to fall by the wayside for a while. So what is your bottom line? Look at it logically. Here's what I have to cover. And then that gives you a better idea of what your status is. Okay, then looking at, okay, so what are your assets? What do you have to get you through? Do you have money in the bank that maybe you can get through 3 or 4 or 6 months or a year, whatever your financial situation is? Okay, so in order to find another job, like I said, what is it that you need? You would need, more than likely, you're going to need to redo your resume. Who are some people that you know that are in business that might have referrals for you? Maybe you know somebody in another business that you've always wanted to try. Because you know what I found, that over these years, probably in the last 10 years, as I've watched people go through, and y'all know, what was it about, how many years was that? 7, 8, 9 years ago, when so many people, that whole economic thing that went crazy, and house prices went down, and the market was terrible, and people lost their jobs. Remember that whole thing? During that time, what I noticed is many of the people who lost their jobs decided that really wasn't the job they even wanted. They didn't like the job, they weren't happy, but it paid the rent, paid the house payment, right? So oftentimes, I think sometimes God uses that to open a window or a door to some other opportunity. So how are you going to look at that? Are you going to just, you can have a pity party. Let me just say, all right, it is okay to have a pity party. You just have to limit it. You cannot have a pity party forever. You can't have a pity party. You really just can't even have one for a week, because that's a week of time you're going to lose getting yourself set up for the next thing. It's just a step back. I think Joel Osteen's the one that says it's just a setup for something good to happen. And so you can have a little pity party. When we went through our big deal, I took the weekend, and then on Monday, that was it. We said, okay, I'm going to sit around, I'm going to eat ice cream and popcorn and watch movies all weekend and not think. And then on Monday morning, we decided to jump into what we had to do. So what is yours? Set yourself a limit if you're going through, or if you know somebody, just say, you know what, it's okay to have a pity party, it's okay to cry. And periodically, if you're going through stuff, that's going for months, you're going to have a few other little mini little pity parties where, you're going to take an hour and just be sad. Allow yourself to be sad. Allow yourself to feel the feelings, because it's okay. But then you just have to move on. You can't stay there. And that's the problem I see, that many times people who go through stuff, they sort of stay stuck there, and they don't want to make the change it's going to take to make the real change in their life. So anyway, I'm going to go back to the story of my friend and this contractor thing. And at the very end, I just have to tell you, I was just really proud of him. And he and I had never had, we've had business conversations, but we'd never had a personal talk about, so I thought it was amazing that he shared that with me yesterday. And I'm very grateful. I feel honored that he felt that he could. And as he was talking about it, he says, yeah, man, this has just been a pretty awful Monday. He said, this all just sort of hit this morning with phone calls, and he said, he says, I not quite sure what to do with it, and we're going to have to call attorneys, and explaining all that. And then we veered off and talked about something else, and I said, well, in our business situation we were talking about, I said, well, you know what? I just really believe things have a way of just working out, because I really do believe that. Y'all know that. That just sometimes, there's more to the big picture that we can see. Hey, Karen, good morning. That sometimes if all we see is right here, our vision is so limited. And sometimes you have to do that when you're trying to buckle down and get something done. But when you're looking at your life and things that are happening, sometimes we need to expand our vision and just see, is there more going on here? Or there more or different opportunities or different choices that we can make? And then as we were talking that, I think that, like I said, we never talked about personal, what do we believe about anything. And he said, well, yeah, Delinda, he says, I really do believe that too. He says, I just think that, and he said there's a higher power. I'd say, yeah, we've got a God in control of things, right? God is in control, and we are not. Hallelujah. I'm so glad I'm not in control. And Kathy, no laughing over there. So, and he says, yeah, I do believe that too. And he says, the truth is, I felt it in my gut. He said, I knew something wasn't right. And he says, I just couldn't put my finger on it. And he says, so this morning, he says, when it all came together, he says, that's when he said he knew he just had to stop it right then, because he knew that was the trigger, that those feelings that he was having were really true. So my question is to you, is like, do you trust your gut? We have that. We have, I think it's the Spirit of God. I think it's the Holy Spirit. You can call it whatever you want. We call it, and it is those gut feelings that sometimes when you walk in someplace and it doesn't feel right, or you're in conversations with people and something doesn't feel right, trust it. And it took me a long time. I haven't always trusted that. I figured that is one of the benefits of age. And I might have been in my 50s before I really got that and realized that gut that you have is more than just some superficial thing, that it is really God speaking, that letting you know that something's not quite right, to be aware, to open your eyes, look at what else is happening around. Or sometimes it's just a thing of remove yourself from that situation so that you can either just be out of the situation or step back so you can look and see if there's other action that you need to take. So I kind of covered a bunch of things. It's like, I don't know, I'm just sharing stuff this morning. I'm not sure why or who might need to hear any of that this morning, but from Nikki and Fred, who just, like I said, she's my soul sister, and I want to grow up to be just like her. And just thinking of them as they're making those big changes in their life. And I said to them when I left yesterday, I said, you know what, the real blessing here is that you guys are doing it together. Because part of the reason that they're doing is that because at their age, one of them will pass at some point. We all are going to, but as they, like I said, Fred is 93 and one of them is going to pass. But isn't it a blessing? And their daughter's the one who's really talking to them and encouraging them in this and helping them with the whole process. And is that the fact that they're doing it together. They've been together for all of these years and raised their kids and worked and retired and all of that, and they're actually able to go through the house together, and it's not just one of them by themselves. So that was sort of the thought I left with them as I left yesterday. And so what are what are you doing? I guess the question today is, how are you looking at the things in your life? Because sometimes everything's going great, but sometimes it's not. So the things that are not going so great, are you looking at it as to see if maybe there's some other way you should be looking at it? Is your gut telling you that something's a little off? Or sometimes it's that thing that makes you feel really good, like when you walk in. I'm like that way with houses. I am like so crazy. I love looking at houses. I'm really ready to get moved. Let me just tell you, my house has been packed up now for 2 months, ready to move if we could just get a house that's going to work out and close. And I figure the same thing. It's like, if I'm meant to get in this house now, it's going to happen, and we'll know by the end of today. If not, then, I'm calling my agent back, and let's go out on the road, Marina, and go find another house. So, you got to deal with stuff, y'all. And each of these things that happen is not the end of the world. As long as we're still alive and kicking out here, there are things to smile about. There are things to share. There's things to learn. So maybe it's take a step back, take a look at where you are, kind of reevaluate a little bit. What are the things that you know that you can do from a logical standpoint? Because sometimes it's just easier to handle if we're going from a logical place and not so emotional. Sometimes we need to, especially as women, sometimes we just need to step back from the emotional so that we can really look at the picture, in a logical, maybe more realistic way, right? So anyway, who else came on here? Kimberly, good morning. And Kelly, good morning. Nice to see you. Marie, all right. Well, some of y'all did come on in. I love it that you came on in and are saying hi to me this morning. We are coming to the end of our time. I invite you all to go. I would love to share more things with you. And I have a new membership that, and this is just my own little ad for my thing, because I want more opportunities like this, more times that we can get together, more times of encouragement in ways that we can share with each other, not just me talking to you, but so you can learn from others as well. And it's called Surge, S-U-R-G-E. Shine your light, unleash your power, rejuvenate your spirit, grow in confidence, and energize your life with Surge. Go to my website, delindalane.com, click on the tab, watch the little video, and see if you'd like to join me for the next things. I'm going to be sending out live audio messages twice a week, just things to encourage and uplift you. So that's my one little 30-second ad for the Surge membership. Alrighty, it is time, you guys. It's time to go. So I always like to end with reminding you. Can you see Sasha? Here's Sasha. So Sasha and I are going to remind you this morning that life is not a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice. Choose wisely, go out, make it a great week, and remember, and for goodness sakes, make a difference as you go. God bless you. Love you. Thank you for spending your time with me. Bye.